Good morning, you crazy kids. Tuesday, February 11th, 2020. You're watching the Daily Mix TV. Hi, my name is Sean Patrick Hillman. The dog in the background is our Pit Lab Mix Rolo. He's a Rock and Roll Heights spokes dog. Anybody who watches the Daily Mix knows that. He's a little restless today, so I'm sorry if, he's walking around during today's episode. Normally, I take him out for an hour and a half a day for a very long walk and then, shorter walks throughout the day so that he can go to the restroom. Unfortunately, because it's been raining so much, and anyone who has a Pit Lab Mix, let alone a rescue, knows they do not do well in the rain. So he is a little restless, to say the least. Again, sorry if he's a distraction. On to today's news. So the Academy Awards broke another record on Sunday, drawing the smallest TV audience in their history. ABC's broadcast of the 92nd Annual Academy Awards attracted just 23.6 million viewers, the least amount since Nielsen began tracking in 1974. Now, it's interesting to note, in the last decade, the Oscars have lost 50% of their audience. That is a huge number to lose. Now, while widely criticized for failing to produce any nominations of female directors, the Oscars this year did actually manage to quell some inequality advocates in bestowing its highest award to the South Korean film, Parasite. Now, I'm a part of this group on Facebook called PR and Marketing Czars. It was started by Jennifer DeMarchi and a few others. It's a brilliant group. I love Jennifer for this. Basically, it's publicists, marketers, media members, a few business people, and we help each other out with, certain tips, certain advice. You can ask the others questions about what to do in specific situations. And then every now and again, we post stories about what's going on in the news and ask others' opinions within our space for that respective category. So someone had posed the question yesterday as to what others' thoughts were on why ratings are down. Well, a handful cited that it was a good telecast and the ratings should have been higher, but that they really need a host to drive that home. Others expressed disdain for the lack of female director nominations and nominations for people of color. Now, herein lies my issue. Hollywood has always been about entertainment. It is not about advocacy. The reality is that people use TV and movies as a form of escapism. Now, we see and hear every day, all day, about inequality. People are tired of it. And no, I don't just mean white people. If you go online and you look at any number of groups on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and so on, you'll actually see that there are a lot of people of color who are sick of it. Women are sick of it, except, of course, the coastal elite. That's New York and LA. Now, at the end of the day, we don't want to see actors talk about who we should vote for and why. Look, they have virtually no experience outside of voting, just like you or I. And they still see fit to tell us what to like and not like. Now, look, whenever you've got a podium or, a vehicle to talk about your beliefs, that's a human thing. I can't blame them. But at the end of the day, when the Academy changed the voting panel a couple of years ago under pressure from the entertainment community, and rightly so, they began including a lot of people of color and women on that panel in an attempt to make it a little more fair. Because there were so many people crying out racism and, chauvinism and all of those things. I don't blame them. I actually agree with those folks. You need a diverse panel to get a real sampling and understanding of what is good and what's not, especially when it comes to an award show. Now, what's interesting about this is the result this year was exactly the same, but yet you still have these people out there screaming racism and chauvinism because there weren't a lot of female director nominations. Folks, it's not about giving a trophy to a director because she's a woman. It's not about giving a trophy to a person of color because they're a minority. It is about what is the best movie or actor or director or actress, regardless of their gender or race. At least in a perfect world, it should be. Now, this is one of the many reasons why ratings are down. People between New York and LA don't want to hear the Hollywood elite advocate anymore. They want to see their favorite actors and actresses say thank you to people, talk about what inspired them in their roles, those kinds of things. And let's not forget about the entertainment factor with respect to these award shows. A few weeks ago on the Daily Mix TV, we talked about, I believe it was 1993 when Billy Crystal, may have been 94, when Billy Crystal came on as the host of the award show, and he showed up as Hannibal Lecter, went right up to Anthony and Sir Anthony Hopkins and said, I'd love to have you for dinner. So that was funny. That was interesting. It was engaging. Then you had, years where it was Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg and Robin Williams would show up, and the three of them, who were known for their comic relief work, would end up duking it out on stage and making people laugh their asses off. That is entertainment. What was seen on Sunday was boring, long, and really unfortunate. Talk about a missed opportunity. Hopefully the Oscars and some of the other award shows actually wake up and realize the minute that you're pandering to one side or the other, whether it's, the coastal elite or the Midwest, you're going to lose viewers across the board. Just be who you are. Be Tinseltown. Be entertaining. Now, one other point on this, and then we'll move on. Another person on PR and Marketing Czars had cited that the Oscars is leaving out basically an entire generation who have cut the cord. That person is not wrong, but they're not right either. The Oscars is, in fact, streamed live online. So anyone who wants to see it actually can. My issue is very simple. The Academy, the Grammys, Golden Globes, all of them, MTV VMAs, you guys need to saddle up with a real streaming partner in promo, whether that's a YouTube or a Vimeo, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you guys need to wake up and realize TV has changed. A lot of folks are not watching traditional TV anymore, and they're streaming instead. So take that opportunity to effect positive change. The owner of Schick Razors has dropped its $1.37 billion bid to buy Harry's, the online shaving startup that has been upending the category for the last few years. Challenged by the Federal Trade Commission suit to block the purchase, Edgewell Personal Care, which owns Schick, has decided to instead build its own direct-to-consumer business. If you can't beat them, join them. The FTC last week announced that it objected to any further consolidation in the shaving market, especially with the dominance of Schick and its much bigger rival, Procter & Gamble's Gillette products. Now, what's interesting about this story is time and time again, we see a lot of consolidation across multiple sectors. For the FTC to specifically cite the shaving market is very interesting, and it's also very true. You really do have two big dogs, Schick and Gillette, in that market. Now, I'm an Art of Shaving guy, have been for a long time. I used to be a Gillette guy. At the end of the day, when you look at business and you look at what the Federal Trade Commission does, I actually support this ban because you don't want to, it's going to end up increasing prices no matter which way you slice it. The fact that Schick has decided on its own to go into the direct-to-consumer business is very interesting, and it does show Gillette needs to wake up. Otherwise, they're not going to be the much bigger rival much longer. Merger between T-Mobile and Sprint has been approved. The verdict comes after a coalition of state attorneys generals tried to block the merger, claiming it would reduce competition and lead to higher cell phone bills. The number 3 and number 4 U.S. carriers respectively agreed to combine in a deal worth $26 billion, and that was nearly 2 years ago. Now, the new telecom giant is going to be called T-Mobile, and it'll have over 100 million customers. Herein lies the issue with respect to mobile and telecom. When you look at Verizon, you look at AT&T, those are the two big dogs. Then you've got, Sprint and T-Mo. T-Mo has always been that maverick. Under John Legere as the former CEO, they really took the business by storm in how they approached marketing and how, he approached investors, those kinds of things. So for Sprint and T-Mo to do this is going to be really interesting to watch. And I have a feeling it's going to mean lower cell phone bill prices for AT&T Verizon customers because they're going to want to get out ahead of this. Uber and Postmates have lost a bid to temporarily exempt their drivers from California's new gig worker law. A federal judge denied their request to block the enforcement of AB 5 or Assembly Bill 5, which aims to ensure independent contractors are treated like employees when it comes to wages and benefits. Now, the ruling is a major blow for app-based companies. They are claiming the law unfairly targets them and threatens their business model. So Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash, I still can't believe this. They've pledged $90 million for a ballot measure to exempt them from the law. You just can't make this shit up, folks. Uber's greed has flatlined local taxi businesses over the last decade in every market they're in. They've created massive traffic problems in market after market, yet people still use their services. I don't. I can't in good conscience support a company that screws its drivers, its customers, and local municipalities in the name of greed. Now, what I find interesting is the majority of Uber users are, in fact, millennials, the very generation that claims to care about its fellow humans above all else. Well, clearly they're not letting hypocrisy get in the way of their ride-hail app relationship. Now, what's going to happen next? No one knows. But at the end of the day, when you look at a company like Uber, when you look at Lyft, even DoorDash to a great degree, they do add more employment into the local market. The question is it enough? Is it right? Is it the right amount of money? Are they getting the right benefits? The way that you look at business, the way that you look at 1099 and a consultant versus W-2ing an employee, at the end of the day, I think that the way that Uber has approached this is completely ridiculous. There's a reason why their license wasn't renewed in London. They're in the appeal process right now. Who knows? Word on the street is London is not going to approve a renewal of their license. In New York, they're talking about, enforcing that cap in terms of how many drivers can be on the road at the same time because of the amount of traffic that's been caused by their services. So only time will tell. We'll keep an eye on it for you. But going up against AB 5 in California, this is going to be an interesting battle. I can't wait to see the end of. So 7-Eleven is moving forward with efforts to make in-store shopping as simple, as convenient, and as frictionless as possible. The convenience giant is piloting a 700 square foot cashierless store with employees at its Irving, Texas headquarters. Now, to test the store, employees download the app, they sign up, they check in at the store, enter the store, shop, and exit. A detailed receipt is then sent to the app automatically after that customer leaves. Now, the concept store offers an assortment of the most popular products that are sold in a regular 7-Eleven, beverages, snacks, food, groceries, OTC drugs, non-food items, that kind of stuff. The retailer is going to continue to refine the product mix as they go through this testing period. This is incredibly important. Whenever you launch a new app or a new effort or any form of new technology, if you're not spending the time to test that concept out and to drive change, to make sure that app after app, everything is lining up internally and externally, if you're not doing that, then you're not doing your job. Now, my old man used to say to me, good writing is rewriting, and that rarely is the first draft the right draft. And he was right. He was 100% right. In this case, the same is also true. If you're not testing, adjusting, refining, then you're not doing your job as a company. And when you launch that, you're going to have a lot of problems. Now, the retailer is going to continue to refine the product mix, as I said. This is their latest effort to remove friction from the brick and mortar experience. Last August, in August of 2019, they had introduced mobile self-checkout at stores in New York. So it's integrated into the 7 Rewards program, their loyalty platform, in the retailer's mobile app. You open the app in store, you tap a button, you scan the product's barcode, adding it to your basket, and then they automatically apply discounts and promos. And then you can pay for that purchase using Apple Pay, Google Pay, debit, or credit. A QR code then appears in the app once payment is made, and you go to a confirmation station to scan it to confirm the purchase, and then you leave. Now, like its cashierless store, 7-Eleven did initially test mobile self-checkout with employees at its headquarters. So 7-Eleven gets it. They're going to be doing a lot of test, refine, test, refine. Herein lies part of the issue. In New York City, a law was just passed wherein we're not allowed to have cashless businesses. So this is actually a smart move in the face of that, because it's not creating a cashless store. It's creating a cashless option at the store so that you can, in fact, go in, use your app, boom, pick up what you need, walk out the door, while those who may not have a checking account or a debit or credit card can still use cash at the register. So for 7-Eleven, smart move. Glad to hear you guys are testing and refining. Can't wait to see what the results are. Man, being the top dog of a category is not easy. Everyone's always trying to knock you off. They're trying to steal your thunder, so to speak. There's a reason why the term challenger brand was created. But when you look at, let's talk about the lingerie business. Victoria's Secret has been at the top of that game for a very long time. The problem is they failed to evolve. Now they may be going private. L Brands, parent company of Victoria's Secret and Bath & Body Works, is close to a deal to selling the troubled lingerie brand to private equity firm Sycamore Partners. Now, that deal could be announced this week, and I'm hearing rumors it may be Wednesday or Thursday of this week, actually. Falling revenue of Victoria's Secret has continued to take a toll on the corporation's performance, that being L Brands. The brand's same-store sales fell 7% in the third quarter compared to a 2% decrease in the year-ago period. Victoria's Secret has really struggled over the last number of years to find its footing as consumers increasingly opt for lingerie brands that emphasize comfort, inclusion, and diversity. Herein lies the issue. Les Wexner, who's the founder and chief executive of L Brands, he's also their longest-serving CEO of an S&P 500 company. Very smart man when he created Victoria's Secret, not so smart when you got into the 2000s. So when you think about, the coming of age of Generation X, for teenage boys, they loved looking at Victoria's Secret catalogs. But at the end of the day, that was enough in terms of sex sells in that era. Today, it's more about your brand message. It's more about your inclusion of others. It's more about society as a whole. And unfortunately, Victoria's Secret has not evolved. Their lack of including people of different body shapes and sizes, certainly their lack of inclusion in terms of diversity. Granted, they do have a lot of African-American models that have walked the runway for them, or walked the catwalk for them, excuse me. Certainly with their telecast, their show, their Angel show on CBS that ran for a number of years, they had a lot of diversity there. But when you look at the brand as a whole, it just did not evolve the right way at the right time, and that has cost them severely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with respect to Victoria's Secret. I have a feeling that given Sycamore Partners is their normal path, if you will. They buy companies, they sell off the most, valuable assets to that company and profit and balloon out, right? So, and I don't blame them. That's their business. That's what they do. So for Victoria's Secret, I don't know that they're necessarily going to survive this in the same way. And I don't think that this is going to be an evolution. I think this is going to be a brand destruction. But only time will tell, and we'll see. New York-based beauty subscription service Birchbox, which sold its division in France in January, has announced they're cutting 25% of jobs globally in order to reduce costs. Now, at least 44 employees are being affected in New York. That's out of a total workforce of 94. And that's according to a filing with the State Labor Department. As part of the cost reduction plan, the company intends to move some operations from the UK to Spain, and the aim is to, quote, reduce redundancies across the US, UK, and Spain. Now, the cuts come nearly 2 years after hedge fund Viking Global bought a majority stake in the company and agreed to invest about $15 million. Now, since the opening of its first physical store in New York in 2014, Birchbox claimed that the development of its physical presence would be key to its growth. That didn't happen. Now, at the end of 2018, the beauty subscription service inked a deal with Walgreens, which we talked about on the Daily Mix TV, and that was to establish a presence in 11 stores in major cities across the U.S. Sadly, that effort didn't pan out the way the company thought it would. Now, when JetBlue ended their partnership with Birchbox for their Mint level of service customers, I saw the writing on the wall. It's sad when a trend plateaus and a brand like Birchbox, which was at the top of the category, does not have a plan to continue to grow, evolve, and expand. Now, on the contrary side, the now independent French branch intends to accelerate its development in data and e-commerce, both in France and in Europe. So basically, the former French division is now looking at a way to grow through e-com and data sales. Smart move for them. With respect to Birchbox, I don't think they're going away, but I do think that they've really put themselves into a corner that they're going to have to battle their way out of, especially given the sort of drop in subscription box service popularity. That trend, as I said, plateaued a while ago. They've been resting on their laurels, sort of riding that wave, and they've made various attempts to try and change that. But all those attempts have failed. On a personal note, I wanted to wish my mother, Michelle Corbin Hillman, a very happy birthday today. I love you, Mom. I hope you have a great day, and stay dry out there. God knows it's nasty. All right, guys, I'm out of time. My name is Sean Patrick Hillman. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Daily Mix TV. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, comments, or story ideas, please email thedailymixtv@gmail.com. We'll catch you tomorrow on Hump Day.